And we're live. 39 JAYTEE.
Hey!
Hello, everybody.
Hello!
Welcome, welcome. Sorry for the delay. We had to make sure our t-shirts were matching.
We just switched t-shirts. No,
Hey.
no, we didn't.
No. I need to put a jumper on. It's almost cold.
Almost. I can
Almost
tell you
cold.
right now here the temperature outside is 24 degrees and it is sunny.
Ah. Okay.
24 degrees for you Americans is
Oh.
something Fahrenheit.
It is. It is definitely something Fahrenheit.
Something Fahrenheit. Yes. Yes. I'm searching for my notes for today's episode.
Ah, very good. That would be handy.
Yes.
Since
Yes.
we're now
Because
structured.
no, we are not.
Yeah, we are.
This is I remember once Jeremy Clarkson in one of the episodes when they were doing the news told that they won best non-scripted show award in one of the awards, and Jeremy Clarkson couldn't attend the show, and the other two guys said, "Why weren't you able to attend the show?" And he says, "Because I was writing the script of the next episode."
Very good.
as they won the best non-scripted show.
Yeah.
So yes. Yeah. Now I have notes because many thoughts cross my mind. So I have notes. Today's episode is not like I think we've said in the on Twitter whether 3D printers are a tool or a hobby. More about how broad is the spectrum of 3D printing usage. Because there is a lot of people that use it just as a hobby. There is people that just hoard 3D printers, and there is people that use them as a tool. So there is also the toolchain. What do you use when you are doing? What toolchain do you use when 3D printers are a tool? And what toolchain do you use when 3D printers are just a hobby in itself? Not use 3D printers for another hobby. Then they are a tool. This is a
Yes.
mess.
Yeah, that's
This
all
is a
right.
mess.
Your thought
But
process
yeah,
is correct. So
and weird.
where do you
And
want to
weird.
start? Do you want to
Okay.
talk about
I,
your
I
particular
want
situation?
I want to start from my extreme point.
Okay.
Like for me, 3D printers are absolutely a tool.
Yes.
They are so much a tool that I do nothing to them unless it's absolutely necessary. Like I haven't changed the firmware, I haven't done any instead of maintenance as a prevention of failure, I do maintenance because of failure. When something breaks, I fix it. If not, I keep putting files on it,
Sure.
throwing
Yeah.
throwing
You
files.
don't even change slicer settings.
Unless slicer settings.
Like speed.
Uh,
You've been printing 40 millimeters a second since day one. Yes.
I have Simplify open right now, and I can check my speeds, but I don't know them, nor that I worry about them.
Yep.
Speeds. For example, this is so bad that I have two CR10, one the upgraded and they're done, and one the regular one, and one Tevo Tornado.
Yes.
And as they have the same printing volume, and I've switched the extruder to the three of them,
Yes.
I use the same slicer settings for the three of them.
That's okay.
I can
What's wrong with
slice
that?
one. Well, they can have different settings, like for the bed thermistor or maybe some.
Of course, but within a few degrees, it's not any
Nah,
difference.
it's not. No, it's not. And the speeds are for all of them 2,800 millimeters per minute.
Oh my God.
Default
2800
city.
divided by 60 is 46. 46 millimeters a second. Anyone that cares?
Yeah, whatever that means. I don't know what that means. But is the speed at which the head moves, or?
Yeah.
I know nothing about 3D printing.
You literally are the guy that uses it as a tool. You don't
Yes,
tinker.
yes, yes,
You fix when you need to. You
yeah.
overcome filament sensor run out by just putting a bit of filament in there and bypassing completely.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
I've seen, as many of the users have seen, your rack of printers, and all they do is they print giant red things.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Okay.
Well, the first thing when using a 3D printer as a tool that suits, I can say you can use a 3D printer as a tool if you want to print a spare part for an appliance, or maybe if you want to print. It has to be something that is on Thingiverse or GraphCAD or something like that. Unless you have the first part of what I consider my toolchain, which is the parametric modeling software, something that can make parts for you.
Yeah.
And in my case, I have a list, and this week I've made a discovery, which
Okay.
is FreeCAD. I didn't know about FreeCAD.
Yes. I've
Or
looked briefly.
and at least the last time that I saw FreeCAD was so shitty that I didn't give it a second thought. But I saw a feature that is quite impressive. That is, you can click on a feature on a drawing and remove only that feature. Even
Okay.
if you did many, like chamfer, and you did many chamfers, and you have in a corner one chamfer that you want to remove. In Fusion 360, you have to go back the timeline, or select
yeah.
that feature and go back the timeline, open that feature, and change it there.
Yep.
That seemed incredible to me.
All right.
Really useful.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, based on what you said about a tool and not updating firmware and so forth, Brian Locke has a comment or a question. Does that mean
Yes.
Ivan doesn't have thermal runaway enabled? If you've not updated your firmware...
Oh, no. I don't have it. No.
So it's not enabled.
No. All my printers, all the filament of each printer is on the side of the printer, not on top of it.
Yes.
Just in case the printer catches fire, fire will not be easily spread.
Yep.
And all the printers are in a corner of the shop that cannot propagate to anything else in the shop.
And the walls are concrete.
Cinder block.
Cinder
yes.
block, okay. And the roof is probably out of reach.
It's, I think, polyurethane sandwich between metal.
Okay.
I think. Yes.
Yep.
So it's not that I'm safe, and I have insurance.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And a fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And I had thermal runaway occurring to me once in the Anycubic Mega i3.
Yes.
And as I've stated many times, thermal runaway is a feature that protects you from fire as long as the electronics keeps working.
Yes.
If the processor of the microcontroller stops ticking, it's worthless.
True.
So if the clock stops, you will have a fire. So thermal runaway, I think that I did in my old big 3D printer. I never ended up implementing it, but the idea, I think it was very good. I had two thermistors on the heating block, on the heater block, on the extruder.
Yep.
One of the thermistors was connected to the ramps, the regular ramps, but the other one was connected to a separated microcontroller, connected to an AC relay that could cut off the.
Yep.
So if one of the thermistors detected a runaway, could switch off the 3D printer.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Which I think is a cheap enough to implement on a 3D printer safety measure, I think. If reality wants to do that, I think it will be really easy for them. It could be even analog.
Yeah. Okay.
Once you reach over 260 degrees, cut off the current.
Yep.
And that's it.
Good.
I even tried to do it with thermal fuses.
Oh, okay. I'm unaware of what that is. I understand. I didn't know they existed until you mentioned it. Now I know what it is.
Yeah, instead of tripping because there is too much current flowing through them, they stop working because they reach a temperature high enough. Any oil radiator, electrical radiator that you have in your home, those have one of those inside.
Okay.
Just in case the thermostat stops working, then that one trips and stops the thing.
Okay.
But unless you open what you should not open, that will end the life of the device.
Yes. So talking about thermostats, where's mine? There. It's not there. Bugger. I moved it.
Stop moving things.
No. Yeah, exactly. Stop trying to clean up. If you have a thermostat, say you had a heated chamber, so you've got a box around your printer, and you use a thermostat for ambient temperature, and you have a heater go on and off, on and off.
Yes.
Could you use a thermostat like that, which has a relay inbuilt for a physical temperature, or are they more ambient, those types of sensors? Because it looked like a thermistor on the end of it.
No, those have no, because a thermistor, what a thermistor does is, depending on if it is NTC or PTC, NTC means negative temperature coefficient, and PTC means positive temperature coefficient. What those do is vary the resistance to the flow of current through them, depending on the temperature. So the negative, as temperature goes up, resistance goes down, and the PTCs, as temperature goes up, resistance goes up. What you do with that resistance value is measure them with the analog to digital converter that is on the microcontroller, that is on the controller board, to know what is the temperature. Okay. And that activates usually a MOSFET, transistor, relay, whatever is switching on and off the heating element of your setup.
Yep. Okay.
What a thermal fuse does is, once it trips, the internal conductor breaks.
Yes.
Forever.
Yeah.
It kind of burns. Yep. So it stops the flow of current.
Well, it's like a normal fuse, but it's by heat.
Yeah, but you can have a regular fuse that trips due to excessive current, which provokes the fusing by heat of the conductor.
Okay.
But there are other ways of doing it, because you cannot detect instant overflows of current that way. You can have magnetic ones that are much faster, or you can have very sensitive thermal ones that can detect you going over the max power rating of the device, but very slightly. So what this is a safety feature that will trip only when you reach a certain temperature, that will ensure that the device stops working.
Okay.
Forever. It's not resettable. You can only switch the component.
Good.
I don't know if did I make it that clear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but let's put it to the
But
go on.
that in a 3D printer has a major disadvantage. If you put that component in the hot end,
Yep.
that means that you have to run mains current through your entire 3D printer. Chain,
Okay.
cable change, everything until the hot. So you could eventually electrocute yourself doing maintenance on the hot end of or by touching the printer.
Yep.
Unless you put earth connection. Yeah. But yeah, that didn't seem like a good idea. I did thought of using it only on the DC side of the printer.
Yep.
But then I thought that an active thermistor would be better.
Okay. Good.
Yes. All the time thinking.
Brian Locke, yes. This is what happens for the 1 hour after we do our show. Ivan is completely animated with other ideas and hype and all the rest.
I'm crazy.
Yep, exactly.
I should take my meds. So toolchain. I have Tinkercad.
Yes.
Which for easy things like cylinders with very complicated solutions you know how to use.
Stop it.
Fusion 360, which has been free for the last like 6 years, something like that, which is very, very good for the price, free.
Yep.
Has CAM, you can even put things on a CNC, but for the 3D printing practical case, it has a make button, which allows you to throw the STLs directly into your slicer,
yes.
which is nice. FreeCAD, which seems very evolved now. I should take a look at it again, because it might even be able to substitute Fusion 360. And then you have the high-end tools like SolidWorks, Inventor. Inventor is much cheaper than SolidWorks, and I've used Inventor in the past in a not very legal way when I was... When Fusion 360 didn't exist, and I was poor. Yes.
Yeah, you were poor.
But,
we were all poor once. Yeah, totally.
Yes, pirates. So that's where the process started. You have an idea, you make it into a component that ends up being an STL, and then you slice it and I have here my slicing options, which might be incomplete. I have Cura.
Yes.
How do you say Cura?
Cura? Either Cura or Cura. It's the same.
Cura,
everyone knows what you mean.
Did you know that Cura means priest in Spanish?
No, I do now.
It's pretty weird. It means priest, yes. Simplify 3D, which is a paid alternative. Matter Control, which is in its second version.
Now, is that specific to the Matter Hackers Pulse? Or?
I think you can use any printer you want with it.
Oh, okay.
It can connect straight to the printer, but I'm not sure. I've only used it with the Pulse XC. Pulse Slicer, which is starting to get very fancy features.
Yes,
that I read about lately on Twitter, because I don't have a copy of it. I've never tried it because Simplify works. I did buy Simplify, and I did buy the license of Simplify, installed it, and didn't use it for like 2 months until I got time to switch the profiles from one software to the other.
Understand? Yep. Yes.
And then next step from slicing, you could do the printing, but there is one thing that you can do when you want to use, and this is borderline with hobbying. Manual G-coding. Do G-codes manually to do fancy things Like, for example, continuous printing. I have a friend that is very good at doing this thing where you have your bed and you put the bridge in front of the part, run the part against the bridge,
Yep.
pop the print,
Yep.
drop it in front of the bed, and then push the part with the bed. And that's one of the things that you could do if you want to do many parts and pop another part, pop another part.
Understand.
And
Yep.
it seems to work. Or if you want to do multi-material things, like doing the multi-material.
But surely manual coding, you're doing that as a tool.
Yes, but you could, and I've seen this many times, people showing this fancy thing that they managed to do with a 3D printer.
Yep.
Once they reach the point where they can do that with that tool, they get to the next thing that can be done with 3D printers. It's like there is not a practical goal for most of the people that discover those things.
Sure, but that's half the fun.
But that,
as you know.
oh yeah, no,
it's
really fun.
I know you're not saying bad things about that.
No.
Because we can.
Yes, that's why we do stuff. But that's doing it because of the fit itself, or doing it because you need to print multiple parts and you cannot be on the printer all the time. It's the same thing doing for two different purposes.
Yep.
I think. Do you know of any slicer that I might have missed?
Idea Maker, Kiss Slicer, Chat. Anyone else for slicing? FDM. None of this sort of resin stuff.
You are a well of knowledge.
No.
Did I say that right?
Ice. Well, you'd probably say wealth of knowledge.
I'm telling this hole deep in the ground.
Oh, yes, there's that too, yeah.
Is that a well?
A well is yes. Hole in the ground? Yeah, absolutely. The chat is giving us more slices.
I should switch to the chat because I'm watching my yes.
Your beautiful mug.
Oh yes. Yellow. It's yellow. It is too yellow. Let me. I can go absolutely idiotic with this.
Matt.
Change of.
Matt, I read that as PowerPoint, not PowerPrint. That's just my brain.
What?
Matt, how I do it. Put PowerPrint, but I read it as PowerPoint.
PowerPrint. Okay.
What about you could Octoprint is using Cura, and what's the other remote control software?
I have no idea.
Yeah, there's another remote control. Astroprint.
Astroprint. Yeah, I know.
What does Astroprint have a slicer, or does it take
no
GK? I'm putting it out to the chat.
But Octoprint is using an older version of Cura.
Yeah, an old one, 15. The old 15 series.
Well, I don't know how old is that, but
yeah. So
3D Builder.
3D Guzman,
3D Builder as CAD program.
Yeah.
And then.
Thanks, Matt.
Okay. The thing is, I've mentioned 3D modeling parametric software, but then there is this other thing where lots of people is using the other part of the toolchain, which is they start by sculpting. They're doing volumetric design of 3D parts like sculptures or characters.
ZBrush or ZBrush, Wexter
ZBrush,
and Tessa.
Maya.
Yep.
Cinema 4D. I was going to say Cinema 4D because it's how I say it.
Yes.
It's going to be 4D. 3D Studio Max, I think. Blender.
Yeah,
Lots of people use Blender
to
do parametric
use Blender,
design.
yes.
Yeah. I've tried it, but my head explodes whenever I try to do things without starting with dimensions. Like, throw a ball. Which size is the ball? I need to know the size of the ball.
Yes, I understand. Okay, so you've got an entire process which starts from the model, whether you pull it from Thingiverse or you design it yourself. You need to.
Yes.
Go.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you draw a model from Thingiverse, you are going through the hobby path, unless like well, not really, because you could do that like to paint a sculpture, for example.
Yeah.
You have to.
But if you've got say you're adapting um, a fan shroud or
Oh
a
yes,
new
yes,
component BL Touch adapter for your
yes,
whatever extruder you have, you know, there's a lot of that adaptation that is in the workflow. That's definitely
yes,
from, but that's to support. That could be either to support the hobby, but that action itself is as a tool.
yes,
Someone said,
yeah.
I think it was maybe Paul Arden said, a tool that makes a tool is a tool, or I can't remember the
But
exact.
that's kind. I think that's one of the things that amazes people and amazes me too, which is the ability. Like, you cannot use a hammer to fix the hammer itself, but or to improve the hammer. But you can use a 3D printer to improve the same 3D printer. You
Yes.
can print knobs of fans route, or you can print like end stops, or you can print so many things. And you almost cannot do that with maybe with a CNC machine. A CNC machine can improve or a lathe.
Yeah.
They say a lathe is the only tool that can make it so,
Okay.
but I think that that's a lie. I've never seen no one do it
What, a lathe making updates for
with
itself?
no a lathe made with a made with only with a lathe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. That's a bit hard.
That's yeah. Maybe someone has tried, or maybe in lathe factories they only have lathes, and they
Yeah.
are keeping that from us.
Yes. Perhaps.
Latheception. It's latheception.
Yes. Understand. Sorry.
That's it.
Das
Can I
me.
say that?
Yes, lateception is great. Das Mia happened to Skype. That's what that beeping noise was, if anyone heard it. Sorry, I'm going to answer a question. Jake from State Farm. No, we actually don't have the rewind feature turned on, I believe, in the settings. But I'll have a look to see if we can change that. It's the DVR functionality in the YouTube setup.
Okay.
So. Um, right, so there's an entire workflow, and yours is quite rigid, I'm imagining.
Oh yes, stiff,
Yeah,
stiff as a steel beam,
yep.
cold steel beam.
You don't deviate. You go this and this and this and video.
Yes, I use like I try to do drawings, but it with the time I find it harder. I usually go straight to 3D model, but not a tight with good dimensions 3D model. I just try to build blocks, move them around to see if everything kind of makes sense, and then I do Mark II, Mark III, Mark IV of the same design. I keep refining things until I have something that I can print, build, cut, drill, or whatever. Send the parts to the printers with my slicer, and then the fun starts.
So
Failures.
almost exclusively Fusion 360.
I think I've done maybe once or twice something in Illustrator, because there were like many texts or things like that, and
Sure.
send them. Doing that in Fusion can be harsh, but 98.9 of the time I do that on Fusion 360. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
There's a
Right.
question in the chat for you.
For me,
Yes. Do you ever get tolerance issues if you don't really tune your slicer settings?
how convenient.
Mm-hmm.
That is a very good question. Because I have here, I have
Spacers.
spacers.
Yes, you do.
Many spacers
Yeah.
here, and I have also. This is a piece of M8 rod.
Yes.
Uh,
Is it
when
M8?
I want
How M8 is it? Is it
it's
800? Is it 799? Is it calipers?
it's 880.
Okay, good.
And if you can you see it?
Just it's a bit out of focus. It's all right. I believe you.
Okay, it's 8. And whenever I do a print, when I have to have tight holes that have rods, not threaded, regular rods that go through them,
Yep.
I print them on the printers that have the 0.4 nozzles, the Pulse XC and the CR10 Mini right now. And for example, for a tight fit of a mate rod into a mate hole, it's 8.6 millimeters.
Oh, wow. Okay.
6.
All right.
No, 8.6 millimeters.
Yep.
So you can get this.
Yep. Understood. We just got demonetized, but anyway, that's fine.
And when it is a 12 millimeter hole is 12.7, I think. I don't have here a rod, but oh yes, I have. I have here.
Is that also 0.6, or
This is 0.7,
okay?
and this is
Not coming off.
yes.
Chuck Hellebuck did a video a while ago, maybe 6 months, 8 months ago, how he does exactly on rod like that. If he wants a loose fit, a snug fit, or bash it on with a hammer so it never comes off fit.
Yes.
Okay, and he had his own sets of values which worked for him, but it made sense, of course.
Yep. But for any part, for a 608 bearing, I have for a press fit, I have to do a hole that is 22.3 millimeters.
Okay.
The OD of the bearing is 22.
Yep.
With 0.3, I can bash it with a hammer and stays there without breaking the part.
Yes, understand.
And another thing that I have to remind myself when I finish a design and I'm going to send it to the printers is very important. If you are going to make a hole where a rod has to go through, but they don't need to be mechanically connected, this is not supporting this and this is not supporting this,
Yep.
the hole has to be big enough.
Yep.
Because I've seen myself in this situation where I have like an idler on a tank truck, where I have a piece that is a cylinder which has one bearing in here, one bearing in here, and the axle just has to go through.
Yep.
Be supported on the bearings, and the rest of the part has nothing to do with it.
Yes.
And I found myself that I did the hole in the middle 8.6 millimeters in diameter, which meant a snug fit of an idler that should be rolling.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be mechanically having contact, then I have to make it way larger.
Yeah. Like a full millimeter or more.
Or 10.
Oh.
If there's space,
Okay.
give space.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, but it's hard because you think, well, there is an 8 millimeter rod that has to go through. I will make the hole 8.6. Then no.
Okay.
Not do that.
No, fair enough.
Yes. So it's on my mental checklist.
All right.
But yes. 3D Gassner says that I should dial in my printers. But
he already knows the values now. If you change
yes. If I dial in my printers, then I have to change all my models.
Yeah, totally. Well, that's an interesting thing because you're now going through the documentation process of a particular project.
Yeah, you can say.
Is that Patreon?
It's public.
Okay. So your CNC machine routing machine.
Yes.
The IV CNC, IM CNC.
I'm in my Fusion 360 model is the Miranda.
Miranda. Okay. Cool.
It's Miranda NC.
Yep.
So
Lovely.
Miranda.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
I don't know what the name is.
So you're also dealing with metric and imperial, aren't you? Or not?
Not yet.
Okay. So
not yet. I did ask about profiles that are available in Imperial that could suit the printer. But what I'm going to do, like the screw sets are going to be all metric.
Yep.
Because the hardware, the physical hardware is metric. But things like finding a square box, aluminum square box, if it is too hard to find it in metric, I think adapting the design to Imperial is going to be easy.
That's where I was heading. So if you've got 30 millimeter box tube.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
are you? What is the tolerance you're putting in your model?
None, and the one that is necessary. Because what you have to think when you are designing the machine is which mechanical references have to be linked to each other.
Yep. Okay.
For example, if I'm holding a square box like this, as I do in one of the parts, this part in here is 3D printing, and this is a box,
Yep.
and I push this against here. The only point of valid reference is this face in here, touching this face in here,
Yes.
and then being centered in this dimension. And I added a centering or an adjustment point in the linear guides themselves. Okay. So if I have a square box that has a linear guide attached on this side, by loosening all the screws on the linear guide, moving the carriage to one side, fastening the screws on that side, moving the carriage to the other side and fastening the screws on that side, you have 1.5 millimeters of adjustment of unparalleled linear guides, inclined linear guides, or not, but not in this position. So I have to keep in mind with which mechanical reference are unmovable,
Yes.
or where to add mechanical adjustment points.
Okay.
Where parts move freely until they are tightened with the screws. So I usually go against the face and centered on the face. And the other three faces can be wherever they want, as long as they are pressing tightly. Yes. To keep by friction the part in its position.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes. And I'm leaving my tolerances on the design, my extra 0.5s and all the parts, because by design, the system works even if the holes are bigger than the part that goes through them, if there are not tight fits.
Okay.
They are even a little bit bigger for me, but that's because when you have something like, if you have a hole and you have an axle that goes through it and it has like a lot of play,
yes,
it can end up being like this or like this.
Yeah.
So I never allow that by having always bolt and nut, or nut and nut through a rod, which makes it square by pressure.
Okay.
Putting 10 kilos fastening the nut will keep it straight, no matter how big the hole is. And also by design, it doesn't matter if it is 1 millimeter up or down.
Sure. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So it should work whatever the disaster of your prints are.
Right. Okay. So, we understand then the workflow you do, because you're doing, I'm gonna call it commercial printing or manufacture, more so than a pretty object, which is more the hobby sort of side, which is, I think, a lot of us do the pretty objects. Now, some of us do mechanical parts for printer upgrades and so forth. I know Paul Arden has the new tool changer, the E3D online tool changer.
Yes.
Okay. I'm unsure what his use case is for that, other than being an enthusiast, but he may have a legitimate, hey, this is awesome, which is completely fine too. I've got zero problem with people buying extreme things just because.
Well, if I had a multi-material printer or a tool changer or whatever, the first thing that I will do will be mixing hard plastics with TPU or that kind of materials, making complex composite parts.
So you could do a hub and a tire, for example.
Yes, all in one.
Yes. So a complete wheel set. Yep, I understand.
Yeah. I would even try to do it whole air pressure.
Really?
You could try that, yes.
Interesting.
3D printed parts are surprisingly airtight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
So, yeah, I could try that. But what I do is usually parts that have mostly a mechanical application.
Yes.
Understood. So whenever someone says that PLA cannot be used for mechanical applications, it's because they don't print big or thick enough.
Okay.
Yeah, but yes.
Okay, so Paul is saying he's actually still looking for the killer use case for the tool changer. So he bought it as
I,
as
I
an enthusiast, obviously, which is great.
if he can print whatever I send to him and he can print in TPU, I could show him what tank threads in one piece could be as a killer case for a tool changer.
Okay. So
That would be
so which bit of the tread? So the tread would be the TPU, but the bolt through the middle, the cylinder, that the
no.
linkage would be no.
That's the thing is the actual links will be hard. People always say to me, you should do the part of the tracks that touch the ground of TPU,
Yep.
so it has more grip.
Yep.
But grip is, I think I've said this many times.
You've told
grip
this
is not
to
good
me,
for
certainly.
tanks.
Yeah.
You will rip the thing apart.
Yep.
I will still make the part that touches the ground of hard plastic, of PLA or whatever the material we use. But the part that makes the articulation would be made of a complex interlocked part with the PLA, so a hinge, a very complicated hinge. So you can have a very robust connection between the links, but also very flexible one.
I'm busily chuckling because imagine that you're going to make a very complicated part.
Yeah,
You said I'm going to make a complicated part. I'm thinking, oh, yeah, that's just typical
yeah,
Ivan.
No, but the tank threads are a very simple design.
Yeah.
It's just interlocking parts, hole through the middle, and a pin. I tried to make it much more complicated than that, but it didn't work.
Okay.
But the thing is, when you have an interlocking a pin through the parts, it's almost impossible to disassemble it. It will break before this is being disassembled.
Yep.
With the TPU, what can happen if you make it really not very interlocking is that you can get out the PLA part from the TPU part because the TPU part will flex and leave room for things to escape.
Yep.
That's why you need a kind of a complicated part. So the addition between the PLA part and the TPU part is good enough, so you cannot rip them apart. You have to break them.
Okay. So there need to be some form of capture mechanism that holds the part. Yeah, that holds the parts.
Hook,
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Otherwise, it'll just slip off or roll off or whatever. Yeah. I understand.
Slide, yes.
Yeah. All right. Here's a question for the chat. Who does predominantly use their, well, I was going to say mechanical parts, but who uses their 3D printers predominantly for tool use as opposed to hobby use? Let's just have a show of hands. Just do tool. Just write tool or hobby. Mandatory wait.
Bow,
Bow. Decorative tool. Good tool. Nice. Here we go.
Hobby 50-50.
Yeah.
Low politics. A tool for your other hobby is a tool.
Yeah.
Yes. Hobby tool. Yes.
Yep.
Nice.
There you go.
Nice.
Good to know.
Yes.
Oh.
Thank you. Yes. I was going to say, for the hobby part, I have things written in here.
Good.
There is this thing I've seen, because one of the things that I consider a hobby is 3D printer modding, doing mods to your 3D printer.
Yes.
And the first thing that I could, because I have a workshop and I'm at the workshop when I fiddle with my printers, when I have to fix them or whatever, I don't mind getting my hands dirty, getting grease on my hands. But and I think the first one that I saw do this was Bash. B-A-C.
Bashes. He's in the chat.
Bashes.
Yeah. Leaf.
Bash. Yes.
Yep.
Doing, I think, wheels for the CR10, for the Z axis of the CR10. And I was thinking, why? You can spin it with your fingers.
Yep.
But then I realized whenever I do that,
Get greasy.
get my
So
hands
this is
dirty.
the knob on the top.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I could, why? Like, but then civilized people don't want to get their hands greasy all the time. So,
All the time, yeah.
yes. Yeah. So the hobby part, like adding, modding, having fans routes or blowers, or modifying, rigidizing the structure, putting beams, or even I cannot remember where I saw this, but someone did a mod of, I think it was a Prusa 3, steampunk style.
Okay.
Steampunk style.
Yeah.
Was really nice looking 3D printer. Still cannot see the point, but it was really nice.
Yeah.
Really nicely looking.
But that's the enthusiast part. That's just the
Yes.
the hobby.
Yes, like it's like when people do modding in their cars.
Oh, no,
adding,
exactly what I was going to
yeah,
say. You know,
spoilers and things. And in the end, the cars go slower because of all the crap that is on the cars, but they look faster.
Yes.
They are slower. They look faster.
They look faster.
So,
yeah.
yeah.
To do Brian, you feel similar about cosplay. What do you feel similar about cosplay?
Making modding of the printers.
Yeah, it's just modding. Yeah. Okay, yes, sorry, I see now. Yeah, I get the point.
Yeah, but when you do cosplay, you end up getting your costume to a convention or a party or whatever, and you can show it off.
Yes.
But for me, it's like putting glitter on my drill. Like,
you should
why?
You should do that.
I should put
you
glitter.
You should do that. Yes.
I should make a video that is the fanciest drill ever. And getting my crappy IKEA drill and putting glitter and a spoiler and eyes. And
how dare you diss IKEA or speak ill of IKEA?
That drill has made. I think I have the IKEA drill that has done the most turns ever.
Yeah.
I don't think there is any other IKEA drill of that age and kind that has worked as much as mine. I don't think.
Okay.
I've used it every day.
All right. Bart is saying that the Steampunk Prusa is actually downloadable on the Prusa site.
Okay. Well, that's. Where is he? I cannot see him.
Superman icon. The 3D print man. Second last comment.
Okay. Okay. I see.
It's not a Superman icon, but you should recognize it as a Superman icon.
Yes. And the last one for me as a hobby is tuning.
But
tuning the printer.
But you don't tune the printers.
No, I'm talking as a hobby.
Oh, okay.
Because I've seen people dialing the settings of the printers until they print incredible benches.
Correct. Now there was a graphic that I posted on Twitter a while ago, and it literally talked about people to do crafts, scrapbooking, quilting, and the gist of it, and this is 3D printing as well. The crafting is in fact two different hobbies. One is the crafting aspect, and the second is the collection, the organization, the buying all the bits, two separate hobbies. So there's a collector element, and the tuning and the perfecting and the organizing and the sorting and and then there's the using, which is your tool and hobby sort of scenario.
Yes, the knolling of the parts and putting.
Yes, the knolling of the parts. Yes.
Yeah. It's really time-consuming putting parts in order.
Well, thankfully you give us a time lapse in time with the music when you do your videos.
Yeah. In the last one, did I mention in the last one, it took 2 entire days to do that?
No.
2 entire afternoons.
2 afternoons.
Yeah, because I had to lay all the parts in the floor.
Yeah.
And it seems that I did badly bash my 12 to 18 millimeter lens. So, and also I had corrupted the file system on my SD card. So I did lay all the parts once, and as I do it is I record everything. I lay everything and record it,
Backwards.
getting it
Yeah,
backwards,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
flip it and then it
Yep,
forward.
yeah, yep.
And when I was at the computer editing, I realized that I had missing, I had a few clips missing,
Yep.
and also everything was out of focus. So there was no way that I was going. So I had to go back, lay everything back in the floor, and do it all over again.
Oh no.
So really nice and fun.
Uh, I,
But it looked good.
I made a comment. I don't know if it was on Patreon or your YouTube precisely, which media it was, but I actually wrote, "I'm glad I'm in software because the hardware stuff that you do, which is physical objects, right? Physical objects do my head in, right? Because I can fix something in a heartbeat in software, or
Yes.
or fix something and break 10 other things, but that's a whole other matter.
Yes.
But the patience that you guys, even in the chat, exhibit in terms of doing lots and lots of bits and pieces.
Do you know? Do you know who Paul Jackman is?
Yeah, yeah, yep,
He's the king of
yep.
patience.
Okay.
What he's now, I think he's now trying to make pencils out of pallet wood.
Yeah, I was going
And
to
it,
say he's the woodworker that does pallet
well,
everything.
yeah, but the fact that he does things with pallet wood is the least of his feats. Like he's now gluing up like millions and millions of boards to make pencils. It's like Bobby Duke, Bobby Duke
Yeah,
arts.
yeah, yep.
It's insane the amount of patience that those. What I do is nothing compared to that.
Yep. No, I understand.
Yes. Yeah. Hardware for the win. Mechanical. Mechanics. Yes. Um, yeah. People can tune their printers for ages.
Yes.
Dial it in, dial it in.
Yeah. And that's, I guess a lot of us could be perfectionists or OCD or whatever. I know a lot of us are hyper. That's your enthusiasm, and there's others in the chat who I know are similar. But the lengths that people will go to modify whatever the thing is, as you said, cars or
Yes.
even cosplay, as Brian said, but printers as well, is not astonishing these days. It would, I guess, I would have thought of it as astonishing previously, but it's not now. It's just normal.
Previously, the thing was that everything and everybody was under a rock because there was no internet.
Yes.
Nobody knew anyone.
Yeah. Yep.
Everybody was doing all those things, but nobody could see it.
Yeah. Hey, look at my Model T Ford. I've done this to it. Or
Yeah.
even better, look at my horse and buggy, says the Amish people in Murph. I've done this.
Look at low riding.
Exactly right. Look at the mag wheels I've put on the wagon.
The horse is kneeling to go as the carriage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know that I from time to time someone asks in my YouTube comments, which 3D printers do you have? Your prints look awesome. My prints are shit. Yes, they are horrible.
Yeah, but they're also seen from 4 feet away.
And they are these big.
Yeah.
Are poly prints. You can see in the chassis like corners lifted 30 millimeters in the bent and
30 mils. Oh my lord.
Yeah. But it works because the holes are intentionally far from the corners.
Yep.
So if anything lifts during printing, I can still use the part. Because those are huge parts. Yes.
Yes, Brian Vines, correct. Good from afar, but far from good.
Brian, you have to know that JT is stealing your jokes on Instagram.
You spelled Brian without a Y. You put Brian with an I in the Instagram.
Oh, my.
Brian Vines, do you have Instagram? I'll forward you.
Manifest yourself.
I'll forward you something that Ivan did, and I made a joke, and he said, "I'm taking over." I do not. There you go. I'll screen cap it for you, and I'll put it on Twitter.
My gram is far from
He doesn't have grams anyway. He has ounces.
Okay. Okay.
And we'll
So
just
I've
looking quickly.
I've gone through all my notes.
Okay, so you do
With
do do you do have you done any hobby-based printing at all, other than in the first month of you getting into 3D printing?
not even then.
Okay.
Well, when I got my first 3D printer, no, I was already. I did print a small cup,
Yep.
but that was for tuning purposes. Well, for tuning, to make it print
Yeah,
because
yeah, I
it was.
understand. Yeah,
And the second printer that I had, that was one that I made for myself. The first prints were parts to change the wooden ones that I did to have a 3D printer.
yeah. Okay.
So redesign print, and then I did another printer with that one. That could count.
The printer that makes the
With that
printer that
one,
makes the printer.
yes. And then I made a lamp, but that's a lamp. And then I did print the Venus of Milo.
Venus
Can it?
de Milo. Venus de Milo.
No, no, that's in Italian. I'm talking English.
No, that's how we say it. We call
No,
it.
because then I would say Venus de Milo. Huh? Huh?
Ah, okay. All right.
Huh?
All
Okay,
right. All
Venus
right.
de Milo. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I did one in Thingiverse. There is one that is scanned from the original one, very high resolution scan,
Yep.
and it comes already chopped into parts, so you can print different parts and then make. And I have one like this big, really
Yep.
big.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's it's in my house.
All right.
No, I don't think I have.
Okay. Fair enough.
No.
Mr. Rhodes, good evening. It is midnight. Welcome. Even
Hey, good night. Good night.
even where you are, it's midnight because we haven't daylight savings yet. Oh, so when does your summertime change?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't. They don't let me know until the
Until
week
they do
before.
it. Okay.
No.
So
Now, yesterday I learned that Spain is holding general elections soon, and nobody could believe that I didn't knew. How am I going to know? You
well,
should put like billboards in the street just to
of
let me know.
course.
I have no.
So because you don't watch television, you don't. Do you listen to the
No.
radio?
No.
No. There you go. That's why.
I'm extremely aware of U.S. politics
Yes.
because it's really fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
That makes a difference to our world.
Yeah, and it's fun when it's not your country.
Well, there is that too.
I have to say, I have to admit that. But no, I know nothing. Oh, and I recently discovered one of your people, Jim Jefferies.
Comedian?
Jim Jefferies. Yes,
Comedian.
yes, comedian.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's Aussie.
Yeah, okay.
It's really, it's fun, funny. He's fun. He's fun.
That's why he's a
But
comedian.
he most probably yes,
Yes,
that's
yeah.
why. Yeah, he has a show on YouTube too.
That's
Yeah.
you know, because us Australians, we know all the other Australians. Oh,
Don't you?
you know Jim? Yes, of course I know Jim. Jim the comedian. Yes, of course.
Yeah. But you know, comedian TP. I don't know.
Um, Spike is with Ivan. Yep. Okay. Yeah, I had a chat with Spike once, and I said, "What are you going to do in the end of October?" And he said something along the lines of, "What the hell are you talking about?" And I said, "You know, Brexit." And
Yeah,
Spike
but
said, "Yeah, whatever."
I've talked to other British people about this, and everybody is pissed off about any of the two options, but they are even more pissed off about having to hear about it all the time.
Yep.
So they have stopped caring about it. Just let's go through it, and yes, yeah, Spain is going to elect a general or something like that. We had one once, was called a dictator.
3D print code. Have you ever used FDM printer for prototyping And then used another fabrication method for the part.
Yes, but not. I do, and I have been doing jobs for third company, like consulting work for companies, and that is done all the time. Like doing FDM printing, then SLA printing, and then injection molding is done all the time, everywhere. First, rough, quick print with FDM, then dimensional tolerances check with SLA printing, and then injection molding. That's done all the part. Injection molding, plastic, aluminum, alumide, the lot. That is done. That's nowadays is almost a standard of the industry. Prototyping with 3D printing is mandatory.
Yep.
Everybody does it. Not always with FDM. If you work in a very fancy design studio, they will have very expensive 3D printers, SLA, SLS, that they have at their disposal, but that's crazy. Right? If you have crazy money, you can do that, but usually it's FDM, SLA, and then injection molding. Yes.
Has anyone here or in the chat used metal printers? So SLS, laser sintering?
No. I'm willing to do a 10 video series to whichever company lends me one of those.
Okay. 3D Print Creator has?
Well, no, I haven't.
Thank you, Brian, of course. There was Matter Hackers were doing a promo recently where Gaylord was holding a metal part, and the line was, you can print metal on your $200 printer.
But you need an oven.
Correct. You then need a kiln, and you need this, and and all the other bits. Yep.
No, I think machining is right now the best alternative for home use, for hobby use, to do at home.
Mm-hmm.
CNC machining, it's cheaper to make yourself a 5-axis CNC machine than trying to 3D print metal at home.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. I'm all the time thinking, like, if I need a machine, it's cheaper to make it or it's cheaper to buy.
Depends how valuable your time is, of which you have none.
But or how expensive is the machine?
Yeah, well, of course.
5-axis CNC machine is quite expensive.
Mark Rhodes, do you have plans for a 5-axis machine? Asking for a friend.
Mark Rhodes is just about to get.
I know what you're about to say.
Files for a CNC to become my beta tester.
Very good.
I need to ask him how quick is he building stuff, because the 3D model is now finished up to the last bolt. And somebody told me on Twitter, I think, why didn't I use the McMaster car library, Fusion 360 or any? Because then I don't own the 3D model.
Yep, good idea.
And if I'm planning to say this is free for all, or at least the license is going to be like modify whatever you want, I need to own the entire model.
Yes.
That's why I'm I will not be releasing the design history, nor the commercial parts that are on it.
Okay.
I redesign everything that is needed to build it, and it's everything mine. Even the bolts and threads.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
McMaster will not ship.
Outside the US.
McMaster is not a bolt library. They sell the bolts and.
Yes, but they have downloadable files.
Yeah. Okay. I just realized that.
You're also not supposed to use those files to print from. It actually says in their terms and conditions you're not allowed to print the parts that they give you 3D models for. Yes. Which is a bit odd.
I think Joel Telling had an issue.
Yes, correct.
Not an issue, but he had
a realization.
Yes.
with the center bolts for the hubs, I think it was, and some others. He's 12 millimeter.
I've ended up measuring my bolts, my heads, and my everything.
Okay.
It's fairly quick.
Yep.
But my computer cannot even, the model weighs so much now that I'm having a hard time moving it in my computer. It's insanely, like, I don't know how many parts does it have, but I had to group the assemblies so I could hide them, but still is
Okay.
yes.
So it's a large file is what you're saying.
It's a very complete file.
Mm.
If I remove all the bolts, then it's smooth like butter.
Okay.
But it's a huge model.
Yeah.
Because I did want to add every single bolt, and then what I need to do now is label the bolts, saying this is M3, and you can use an M3 that goes from 8 millimeters to 28 millimeters.
Yeah, I see.
Anything. Because I want to say any will do, because you have all this room to pass the bolt through.
Yep.
So people don't have to be finding M3 by 8. That's the minimum one, but you can use M3 by 8, M3 by 16, whatever you have on hand.
Okay.
But yes.
All right.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Brian, don't read the terms and conditions. You'll be fine then.
Well, yes. Yeah. Well, I'm planning. The idea right now is to release the files and sell the plans.
Mm-hmm.
And I will not be able to release plans, instructions, or anything for the electronics, because then that's when you get into trouble. People need to do that by themselves, so the safety and security of their machines is to each one their own.
So they've controlled it. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. If you want to put a safety for the spindle, if you want to put a safety press button, whatever you want to do with it, you do it, but it will not fall in my shoulders, the responsibility of it being safe or not.
Yes. So anyone that has fewer digits after build than before build is not your problem.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And also that will transfer a little bit of caution responsibility to everyone. Like, if you have to learn how to do it, then you will have more. You will be more conscious about the dangers of it.
Mm-hmm.
Having to drive mains, and it's not the same thing as connect this wiring here and not knowing what it does, than learning why is that cable here and then wiring it.
Yep.
That way you might not electrocute yourself.
Yes. Understood.
Or lose a finger or whatever.
Who's got experience with CNC, to answer Mark's question?
What?
There's a bunch of he's inquiring as to whether or not there are in fact CNC controllers in code.
Arduino Uno plus CNC Shield is the cheapest and quickest option. It's extremely well documented, and it's very robust and reliable.
Okay.
That's my preferred option on a budget. But from there, you can go very expensive, very complicated, or very simple. There are many options, and those are the CNC Shield plus Arduino Uno is very well documented.
Okay.
With the garble firmware. That's my advice. Yes.
Okay.
Only 3-axis CNC. Yes. Yes.
How do you spell
yes.
garble?
Okay.
It's GARBLE.
Yeah, garble. Yes. GRBL.
Oh yeah, it's a yeah.
Yeah. It's a firmware that is done in assembly for the specific controller that the Arduino Uno has, which is optimized. It's fairly old right now, but it can do arcs and complex operations, and it's really smooth.
You make me laugh, Brian, or at least chuckle.
What?
He did a gerbil.
Yeah. And as 3D Kastner says, UA3 right now is a very good option for CNC machining because they have very powerful drivers now.
I see.
They have reached to me to see if I can put one on my CNC.
Ah, okay.
And now I might do it because I have plans. I have lots of plans for that CNC machine.
Okay.
So I might need the power, but we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
I haven't decided. Yes. So I think we are done.
I think so. Any questions?
Trick of the week.
Quick questions? Anyone? Like
Quick.
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 And if we don't get a response within 9 seconds, even though there's a 10-second
Switch off.
delay, it will be fine.
Switch off.
Switch off?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Pow, pow, pow. The weather is really, I said how the weather is. It's 24 degrees.
Download link for what, Mark?
Sunny.
The files that Ivan's going to send you, or
I will reach to you, Mark.
For 3D parts, yes. There you go. Easy. Bye, thanks, bye,
Bye.
thanks, bye, bye. Later.
Bye. Please go leave
Hit
us.
the like. Yep. Oh, thanks, Brian. We're happy to be streaming again too.
Yeah.
All right, what colour shirts should we be wearing next week?
Yes. Leave that in the comments.
Yes. Yeah, actually, leave a comment. Black. Yeah, black. Yes, black is my slimming colour.
I have many black t-shirts.
Okay. Good. All right. See you guys. And no ladies tonight, so see you guys.
See.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. Now, this thing that I was going to tell you.